How's that for a convincing win, Mets fans? The Mets dominate the Phillies 11-4. It was shaky early, Dan. It didn't feel that good with Griffin Canning getting lit up early after Soto again has a great performance tonight. I think it's safe to say, Dan, our boy Soto is back. He is back. He is a New York Met. He is feeling it. Lindor getting off the schneid, having a solid game. Hopefully he starts heating up. Everybody contributing. Hell, Jared Young and Francisco Alvarez both go deep, bro. If I would have told you, I wonder what the betting odds on that before the game was. But Canning kind of steadied the ship there, got us deeper into the game than I thought he would originally. Brazaban cleaned up, and then we were able to give it to the back end of the bullpen to carry us home. So now the New York Mets are tied at the top of this division. And this is a statement win, in my opinion. 7 home runs. We're here. We are here.
Let's go Mets, baby. What a win. Gets you off the snide, snaps a 7-game losing streak. Desperately needed. Round of applause for the Mets. When you think about expectations, World Series expectations, it's because of nights like this. Every single Met showing up to play. Every single Met, yeah, you got the home runs, but you also get the production, and we've seen that. It's good. Even Francisco Alvarez, look at that. Him showing up, the bottom part of this lineup doing what they need to do. It's refreshing to see. So hopefully they keep it rolling and they can take this series tomorrow. But, yeah, let's cover this whole game and what went down.
Well, let's first get to our Metcast player of the game, guys. We are trying to make this show as best as possible. A lot of work goes on behind the scenes. So let's get to our first Metcast player of the game.
Juan Soto. Congratulations to Juan Soto, 4 for 5, the Metcast player of the game. He had 2 home runs today, which was awesome. Came in the 3rd, came in the 5th, and then also tacked on with a single later in the game as well. So, listen, he's been unbelievable. This is what you expect out of the $800 million man. This is not a joke. This is Juan Soto finally becoming what we expected him to be, and it's refreshing to see. So that's why he is the Metcast player of the game.
Dan, now we can get to you could have named a lot of different people to be player of the game. How about that weird double down the line by Lindor? I don't know what was going on there. Did the wind get a hold of that bull? I'm not totally sure, but everything just seemed to be clicking tonight. Abel actually pitched pretty well early on. He's throwing that 97, but you had a feeling Soto was just locked in. He was, and let's be honest, he was shooting for another home run towards the end of the game. He met that first pitch fastball. He fouls right back, and you see him shaking his head. He is feeling himself. Now, we can keep getting we'll get to a couple of comments here about this game. It's so funny how it is. It seems like tonight X and everywhere else is kind of calmed down now that the Phillies, the Mets beat the Phillies. You have Soto 4-5, 2 home runs, 4 RBI, 16 homer this season. And quietly, those home run numbers, Dan, are starting to sneak up to the point where maybe he will get into the 30s if he continues to be hot, because that's where you could see it going. Look at this month of June. His OPS is going to be around 1,200, right at the top of the National League. And we keep talking about these all-stars. They brought it up. The Fox broadcast brought it up in the game. Hold on. I want to get to this really quick. Courtesy of Fox.
What can a game like this do for the Mets? I mean, it can turn it around. It can turn it around. I mean, what happened in the past is already in the past. We just come out to play good baseball and forget about what just happened. So I think that was a good way to start.
We hit 2 home runs tonight, both on 3-2 pitches at the top of the zone. One was a fastball, one was a curveball. Juan, what is the key to getting on top of pitches like that?
I mean, for me, a lot of people won't agree with me, but I'm always thinking on top of the ball. I'm trying to get on top of the ball every time and, try to get as much backspin as I can. But that's the way I do it, and it's been working for me.
4 for 5 tonight.
Yeah, just a couple.
4 RBIs. You also hit 3 balls 109 miles an hour or more. It's only the second time you've done that. Do you feel now that you are all the way back?
I mean, we always, right there. We feel good. I feel good. My swing's been feeling good lately. So for me, I won't call it all the way back, but we keep working on it. I mean, we have to go all the way. We have 162 games to go. So for me, we just got to keep moving forward.
Juan, thanks very much.
Did he just admit something there to us, Dan? I'm not all the way back. For forever, the narrative was, everything's the same. Everything's good. I'm feeling good. I'm just not getting on base right now. I'm hitting a lot of hard balls. But he says he's not. I wonder if he's dealing with some type of injury that is just being kind of kept on the down low. Wouldn't it be the first time it's happened in Major League Baseball? Something's bothering him, bugging him, that he's coming back from, something of that nature. But how could you not be excited to see where this club could potentially go? It's amazing how night and day this could be. You win tomorrow, and all of a sudden, Dan, this put up or shut up week, it's kind of a mediocre week, but you know what? You ended it on a high note, and that's what's the most impressive part.
Tomorrow's a big game. Definitely no doubt about it. Most impressive part, too, with Soto being not fully back. Like, the fact that he still has something in the tank and he's really coming around, like, it goes to show, A, the caliber of player he is, but also, hey, this team still has lengths that they want to reach and that Juan Soto himself wants to reach. And, hey, another game that the Mets win that Francisco Lindor has an impact, too.
I tweeted it out. I said, guaranteed lock.
Right.
We were losing.
At this point, you're right. And now he's only, 27 straight games? He's chasing Carl Furillo's of the Brooklyn Dodgers, his 29 straight games. So Lindor's really a big piece of this team. You didn't even have Pete in the equation really much doing anything. So it goes to show this Mets team, right? It's a World Series caliber team, no doubt.
Now, we addressed a lot of the positives today. Why don't we get to some of the negatives? Griffin Canning, again, struggling early. You thought he was going to get lit up. He kind of settled down there, but let's be honest. The first hit of the game, or first bat to ball, was over 100 miles an hour. A great play by Francisco Lindor at shortstop. And then the Phillies bats got going. And it's almost as if it took him to settle down. Almost like we always say, yesterday when we're facing Zach Wheeler, you had to get him in the first inning. All aces, you got to get in the first inning. And I got to give credit where credit's due. I listened to the Rico Bronio. Evan Roberts had Carlos Mendoza on for about 10 minutes today, and he was grilling him. What is this obsession with Jared Young? Yes, he got the home run today, but I'm not going to overreact to that. In my opinion, he's not a major league player. That home run brings his average up to like 152, 153, still at the bottom of the basement. Hopefully it's some positive signs for Alvarez. He finally ripped one. And Dan, that was not a wall scraper there. That was a nuke to left field. That was crushed. So hopefully if Alvarez gets going, or somebody behind the first four guys, and shout out Brandon Nimmo again. My gosh. Do not touch this guy in the 2-hole. It's amazing what happens when, and it's funny. I'm trying to remember which I forgot which former player I spoke to, but he was a former Met for a couple. Now I'm skipping my mind, but I remember a conversation I had where he was like, I know where I'm hitting it might have been Cliff Floyd back in the day. And he knew when he came to the park where he was hitting and how important that is to some guys. Maybe Nimmo and Lindor and Soto, now that he's solidified in that 3-hole, and Pete knows he's in the 4-hole, there's no chance of him going to 3, going to 5. Sometimes showing up, knowing where you're going to hit, preparing for that spot, it puts you more at ease. And I think that Soto being behind Nimmo has opened the doors for Nimmo, because if you can't really nibble with Nimmo, he's got a good enough eye where he'll take those balls that are off the plate. And then because he gets ahead in the count, you have to pitch to him. You put him on, you're risking Soto launching a 2-run homer easily, or even Pete for that matter. And I think teams are starting to respect Pete Alonso a little bit more, where it's 3-2. You figure they got to throw Soto something. And he launched that home run to right field. So overall, it's good to see. It is one game against a lesser pitcher. I'm not going to overblow it, but we got to win tomorrow. It's not a must win, but it would be very nice considering what we just went through in Atlanta, thinking that, hey, we might leave this week and we're going to be down 3 games. To come out up 1 game, coming home for a series before coming home and going to be playing Atlanta again. Hopefully we could give it to them here and then getting back on the road again.
Yeah, it's great when this lineup really produces to the level that we think, right? And it really makes you think, hey, this is a very good team. I don't want to touch anything with this team right now. You know, Brandon Nimmo in the 2-hole, think it's perfect. The numbers back it up. Nimmo in the Soto in the 3-hole, excuse me. Another player where the numbers kind of back it up. I understand you want him in the 2-hole, but the way Nimmo produces, I don't think there's any other option unless you want to bump them both up. Bat Nimmo leadoff, bat Soto 2, bat Lindor 3, and Pete 4. Now, that's kind of out there. I know Evan proposed it to Carlos Mendoza today, batting Soto leadoff and things of that nature, but he also said bat Lindor 3, and I don't think it's that crazy. But on nights like this, you don't really want to touch anything. The 1 through 5's good. McNeil in the 5-hole, no problems there. Jared Young, yeah, we think even with the home run today, it feels like he's not, you know, he can definitely be still moved. It's like when Brett Beatty goes yard against Wheeler, you guys have to learn now. It's like the Mets are cold-blooded. They will option you down. It's not the end of the world. So it's just something to think about. Jared Young still continues to frustrate me even with the home run. But
yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch this 1 through 4, 1 through 5 at this point. It's pretty set in stone.
I will say this, and one thing that's very infuriating, McNeil with the bases loaded. You saw it in his first swing. He's swinging for the down, something I don't want him doing. That golf club swing of his, and of course, he little lazy fly out to left field where Soto can't advance and score. Small things like that. Like Jeff's got to know I gotta get it in play somewhere where we could get some runs here. And something I was a little intrigued about early on, and this is something we can keep in the back of our head. Early on, you had a guy on third for Philly, the go-ahead run, and Mendoza did not play the infield back. And we've been seeing it a lot throughout MLB this year where teams early on are playing the infields in. Mendoza did the exact opposite early on today.
Yeah, and Mendy's been criticized a lot of decisions. I was sitting there saying with Canning with 81 pitches, and he lets up the single to Bohm. They have first and third. I'm sitting there saying, all right, maybe we can start to think about pulling Canning here. And, you know, it's so tough in the moment. We get on Mendy for a lot of these decisions. It's a lot of tough decisions in the moment. Like, people don't think about the game speeding up. These managers, things happen. Like, I don't know. It's at the point where you're not really placing blame anymore. I think a lot of people just want to vent and say things to say things and blame people for no reason. This Mets team is fine, guys. I get people have different views on it. They think, oh, you know, certain things need to change, but it's really just letting time work itself out. People wanted Alvarez out of town a couple days ago. It's like he can break out of it too. So yeah, I'm not sitting here calling for Chavez, calling for Mendy and stuff, but you know, a night like this kind of puts water on that fire, and it's good to see. So
I agree. I agree. How can you not? Let's get to some of these comments over on Instagram, and then we'll grab some of the rest of the comments. Great victory tonight from Brian down there. Put the Mets in the playoffs now, says Mikey. a lot of good things going on over there on Instagram. Then we'll get some of these other chats over here. Douglas says much needed win. Absolutely. You lose tonight, and even if yesterday the snowball's running, at least you put your foot in front of the door. And now if you lose tomorrow, it's going to feel like it's all for nothing. Let's be honest. And tomorrow is a night game again, right? Sunday Night Baseball we were talking about.
Yep.
Mets complainer, what a name. Could have used some of those home runs the last 7 games. Fact is, I think at the time when they had 6 home runs, or was it the 7 home runs? They had 6 home runs in the last 7 games, and they all had it all in the same game.
Yeah.
Is it a coincidence that Lindor got them all going? It's always Lindor. I don't know why. And that's they gotta change a little bit. Just a little bit when it comes to that. It can't just be Lindor or bust. And saying I appreciate you. A lot of hard work goes in behind the scenes on all that stuff. Rel says, I told you all, Mets play when they want. And that'd be very unfortunate. I don't know if I go there, but I get the point. Philip says, most emotion I've seen from Soto on missed pitches, kissing his bat. That's Soto we've been waiting for. I think he kissed his back because he thought he might have broke it. Some guys do that. Nimmo smells his bat. You ever notice that?
Yeah.
He's one of those guys, he likes to sniff his bat. That's funny. He was saying it's not a matter of being back or not back. All right, maybe I misunderstood that, Dixon. I appreciate you clarifying that for me. Is the season over anymore? No one ever declared the season over. So it's something that we've never done here. I'm not going to say we haven't been in a little bit of a panic mode here or there, but you know, that's a whole different thing. What are your thoughts on that, Dan? You think people are overreacting?
I think there's always overreacting, Ray. But in that case, no. You know.
Lewis says this is how our boys are supposed to play. We're not going to get that many home runs every night, but I would like to see us be a little more competitive against the more higher-end pitchers, these Striders, the Wheelers, the Schwellenbachs, guys of that caliber. Luis Duran, my guy, what's up, bro? How's everybody? James says, refreshing offensive breakout. I'm hoping this starts an offensive streak for this team, which clearly we're going to need because even with today's game, Dan, the starting pitching, man, it's faltering. It just is.
It is. When does it get better? When do we address starting pitching? When do we have the conversation of who do we bring in? And we're going to do a separate live probably on Metcast on an off day close to the trade deadline where we sit down and say, all right, who do we go get? And, we'll see.
Yeah, maybe we'll bring on a couple writers or two. Goomba, you're so right. They figured out how to get around hitting with runners in scoring position. Just hit 7 solo home runs. I agree. Now, look, I totally disagree with this. Did Jared Young buy himself another 2 weeks with that nuke? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The guy, yeah, okay, so he hits a home run once every 20 at-bats, but that's all he does for 20 at-bats. That's the issue. That's the sole issue here.
Jared Young should not be on this team much longer. Vientos is back as soon as Monday. We have Manaea coming back too.
I know you're kidding, bro.
But that's it. Young's not going to be here after Vientos and Winker.
So we got this. Oh, go ahead.
Real quick from Opta Stats 4 minutes ago. Tonight's Mets-Phillies game is the first game in MLB history to feature 7 or more total home runs, with all of them being solo homers by the same team.
Wow.
Interesting.
Okay. And they almost said, what was the record? It was all by lefties, the first 6.
Yeah, because you had back-to-back, and then Nimmo, Soto, and Jared Young.
Yep.
Wow.
Alvarez, of course, killed that. I want to say this, and I did get on Alvarez. Dan, I know people go, well, you never played professional catcher, but guys like Keith Hernandez, who are great first basemen, other catchers have touched on it, and they were talking about it on tonight's Fox broadcast. When a guy on third base, Alvarez cannot be sitting with his knee down. And he's trying to, he's a first baseman. They spoke about it. Hits off his chest, off his head, the flex back. That's on you. You got to get your chest. Notice what he did? The latter part of the game, and I tweeted it out. All of a sudden, he started blocking things with his chest all over again. It shouldn't take that. It happens too much. He's so worried about framing pitches because, let's be honest, the stats don't lie. Luis Torrens, I believe, is a +3 in frame rate, and Alvarez is one of the worst in the league in frame rates. And that's something that he had to work down in the minors, improve on last year, but it's gotten worse this year. Hopefully with ABS, there won't be so much of a focus on it next year, but that's just got to stop. It's killing us way too often. I don't care he hit a home run today. It has nothing to do with his defense. He's got to get in front of balls.
He has to. It's inexcusable kind of stuff. Throwing behind runners, like things like that. It's just he needs to be better, and it shouldn't take a mistake, like you said, to have him break out of it. Boom. He's still young.
Yeah, well, we're trying. We're trying to win now. That's what it takes.
Yeah.
Jose, it's about time that Soto starts hitting like he did tonight. He's not being paid to take walks and be a singles hitter, but to hit home runs and drive in runs. I will say the second part is correct. I don't want to say home runs. He's never been a crazy home run guy. What he did last year with the Yankees was special, but he's never really been like that. Could he hit 30 home runs? Yeah. Kind of like a Carlos Beltran type guy, except better OPS, way better OPS, a better eye at the plate. But if you're going to tell me Soto's going to hit 280 to 285, 30 home runs, driving 115, 120 runs, and have a 920 OPS, I would take that every single year. And I will say this too, the fact that guys are on base in front of him, there's nowhere to put him. It's difficult to bat around him. Lindor and Nimmo were on all game long. Where are you going to put him, Dan? You know what I mean? And you have an Alonso who's leading the league in RBIs behind him. It's difficult to pitch around him. So it always, as it always does, it starts out with Lindor, and also it starts out with Nimmo too. One of those two guys getting on base sets the tables for these players. And that's why I'm still so adamant, as Brett Beatty has another terrible night. The guy hasn't hit literally in a month and a half. But I'm so adamant. If you get a legit third baseman in here, like a Eugene Suarez, it transforms this team because now Pete's got protection. So the protection for the megastar gets protection. And then McNeil goes down to the 6 hole. You might have the best 1 through 6 in baseball when everyone's right.
Sure.
I don't know if this he's hitting 045 with 2 home runs and 50 at bats. But bye. I guess that's Jared Young.
Right.
I mean, I think he's actually hitting 145, something like that, 150. James says it's true. We had the pitching, just no offense. Now pitching's falling back to each one of the bats, hopefully heating up. I agree. I checked 10 is the all-time record. Is that for solo home runs in a game?
I'd assume. That's a lot. And how many times, too, do they all hit the 15th home run of the season? And they all go back to back to back and hit the same number of home runs like they did in the 3rd inning. I mean, that can't happen often.
Buzz, where you been, bro? It's been a minute, bro. What's up, Dan and Ray? Nice to finally get a W. That was brutal. Well, the game wasn't brutal. I enjoyed the game. Today was we've been begging for forever. We're supposed to have the offense where every once in a while we're able to kick our feet up and just demolish the team that's in front of us. That's what I look forward to. I saw an interesting, before we head off for tonight, I'm not going to be able to find it. They posted Jonah Tung stats in AA. They're absolutely insane.
Really?
Yeah, insane. He's got like a 1.75 ERA. Something crazy like that. Klub says, I'm in my car back to the hotel. Game was great. Oh, yeah. Remember he was saying that He was driving there. Woo. The 7-hour drive to the stadium was well worth it, but sweat my ass off. I could imagine how hot it was. How hot is it going to be this week coming up? Monday, Tuesday, almost 100 degrees. But
so
good.
For Tong, AA today, he had a great outing. 7 2/3, 2 hits, no runs. He had a walk and 11 Ks on 97 pitches. 70 of those were strikes and 19 swing and misses. He lowers his season ERA to 1.07 with 107 strikeouts in 67 innings this year.
How old is he?
21.
Yeah, we're not going to see him this year. Maybe if he dominates, there's no way they're going to leave him the
22.
whole second half in
22.
Double A, right?
Yeah.
He's what, 22?
22, yeah.
Still.
Right.
Maybe next year, but maybe next year we actually could look and say, hey, you know what? Going into the season, you have 3 or 4 legitimate guys that are going to be vying for that 4th or 5th starter type role, whether it's Brandon Sproat, Noah McLean, Jonah Tung, and we all forget about Christian Scott, who had Tommy John last year. He'll 100% be ready by spring training this year coming up, and the Mets were high on him too. So hopefully we start getting that depth in the minor leagues where look at the Dodgers. They have some of the highest end pitching prospects, and they're in their mid-20s because, well, not anymore because they have so many injuries, but they were in their mid-20s before they got called up. Not because they're not great, it's because their rotation has been stacked. So you're able to keep them down in the minors a little longer, let them get a little more seasoning. And if you're bringing them up at 24, 25, they're not free agents until they're 32. And then you either move on or you pay them in the short term. That's what winning organizations do. Some organizations that are bad are forced to bring up their prospects early. The Yankees, Aaron Judge was 24. Gary Sanchez was 24. That's the age you really want to bring guys up if you can, because it extends that free agency window down the line.
Saves you money down the line. You're right. You avoid paying a guy. You can just extend them early and not have to worry. Look at what the Braves have done. A lot of guys under team control with good deals. So, yeah.
James says City Field Homer's going to fly out. I don't know if it gives us an advantage, but we have a lot of Hispanics on our team, and they're used to playing in that heat. I've been to the Dominican Republic. It is wow. That's all I could say. I've been down there when it's hot, and they're playing baseball all year long, and a lot of, Soto's from there. You have Lindor from Puerto Rico. You have a lot of these guys that, and obviously the hot weather is going to make balls fly out of the stadium. Maybe because it's getting warmer, their bats are starting to heat up. I mean, Soto, you put that tweet out yesterday, and even though he didn't have the best of games yesterday, you could just tell he's moving in a different way now. That's how I look at it. Sand says, Ray, Tung can't be traded. Sorry, but maybe be Sproat. I'll tell you this. We all saw the article that came out yesterday talking about how many scouts around MLB are really starting to value the Mets and their pitching prospects. I'm not trading Sproat, and I'll tell you right now, neither is David Stearns. The guy's a top 50 prospect. Regardless of what he's doing at AAA, scouts have seen enough to the point where they're ranking him that high. To me, in my opinion, there is 3 untouchable pitchers in this organization, and that's it. And it's Tung, it's McLean, and it's Sproat. Everybody else, fair game. I know a lot of people like Tidwell. He's throwing 100 miles an hour. Projects probably to be maybe a future closer. We could be looking at the future closer of this team, Dan. We don't know what's going to happen with Edwin Diaz. And if he could get it right and air it out, he's throwing 100 miles an hour in the first inning. Imagine him in a closer's role, maybe throwing 100, 102. But if Sandy Alcantara becomes available, he might be on the block. And no, I'm telling you right now, what are his numbers right now? Do we know? Have they improved?
Not really. Still middle. Still Sandy hasn't been Sandy. That's all.
6.88 ERA. Let's see. Okay. So, I mean, his last 3 he got rocked in San Diego. 4 innings, 6 earned run. See, that's the issue right here. Philly's a good team, but let's look at the good teams. Ready? The Dodgers. This is just the last few starts. The Dodgers, 5 innings, 5 earned runs. The White Sox teed off on them. 5 2/3, 4 earned runs. Tampa Bay, a good team. 5 innings, 4 earned runs. Even the Angels, who are playing pretty well. 5 1/3, 5 runs. San Diego, 4 innings pitched, 6 earned runs. And you know what?
Not good.
This is the most concerning part. San Diego, 4 innings pitched, 0 strikeouts. Tampa Bay, 5 innings pitched, 3 strikeouts. I'm trying to see where are his. Yeah, he's got a lot of walks. San Diego, 4 innings, 4 walks. LA, 5 1/3, 2 walks. Tampa Bay, 5 innings, 2 walks. Chicago, 5 2/3, 3 walks. And then we'll come to June, his last 3 starts against Colorado. Keep in mind who that is. And they were home in Miami. 6 innings, 2 runs, 1 walk, 4 Ks. Pittsburgh, 6 innings, 0 runs, 6 Ks. Then Philly, 5 innings pitched, 2 runs, 5 Ks. So his last 3 starts not as bad, but his ERA before his last start was 7.14, and now it's 6.88. That might work in favor of the Mets. The Marlins may be saying, hey, we don't want to pay this guy $20 million. Maybe they'll take a lesser of a package. What are your thoughts?
They could, and you have to keep the value built up amongst the minor leaguers. That's something that a lot of these guys just haven't done. They haven't stayed consistent, and it's still an issue. The strikeout rate's still high amongst a lot of these guys, and you want to see it come down. Eventually it will, and you just keep a plateau right now if you're in the Mets farm system. Like, you have the pieces to trade. You have the pieces to go out and get a top free agent, get a top guy if you need to. The money is there. The spending is there. The Mets in a good spot. We said this last night. Stearns is being tested this trade deadline. I always get everything mixed up. Trade deadline. They're going to have to address this. And if you're David Stearns, if you really don't address the bullpen, center field, DH, maybe a catcher, maybe just kind of what any of those in some way. It doesn't have to be all of them, but we saw today Pablo Reyes gets brought in, minor league deal, former Yankee, former Met. He can play the infield, so Stearns kind of maybe getting ahead of the curve and seeing if that works out. But yeah, it's a lot of things in the air. Like, why would you go out and get a Pablo Reyes? I truthfully don't know. Do you not believe in Vientos? Do you not believe in Beatty?
Is it a minor league contract?
Yeah, minor league. So it's probably
they did the same thing. They just brought in Travis Jankowski.
Right. So we'll see.
Another player that I've been keeping an eye on, another so-called ace, and thank God, because we were all calling for him to trade for him in the offseason. Dylan Cease. He is 3-6 with a 4.43 ERA. His WHIP is a 1.29. Last year was a 1.07. He's reverted back to the 2023 Chicago White Sox Dylan Cease. Last year, I'm convinced, was an abbreviation, and it still wasn't even that good, a 3.47. But check this out. In Chicago, 7-9, 1.42 WHIP, 4.58 ERA. It's almost identical. So 2 out of 3 years, he's going to have an ERA in the mid-4s. I mean, everyone keeps saying, like, I see, who did I just see? Ray Rivera out there. We need to bring in a frontline starter. Stop messing around either. We're all in the go to World Series or not. But who? That's the question. You're looking around the major leagues. We talked about Arizona, and you keep saying Zach Gallen. Well, you know what? Arizona's 3 games out of a wild card.
Yeah, you got to ask what are the intentions of these teams too, and it's tough.
And they're about to win tonight as well. Let's see. Who else played today? Braves beat Miami 7-0. Cubs 10-7 over the Mariners. The Red Sox got beat by the Giants. I wonder. Let's see if Devers did anything in this.
Yeah, he had a home
Devers
run.
1 for 4 with a home run and 2 RBIs. Welcome back. I'm telling you guys, that should have been the bat. That should have been the bat. Dan, imagine Rafael Devers on this team. Get Nimmo's ass out of the 2-hole.
He's got a sweet swing, man.
Hitting 5 on this team right now. Holy cow. That might be the best 1 through 5 we've ever seen.
Right.
You have 4 guys that could literally win an MVP any season.
It's unfortunate. It looked like the Red Sox were kind of dealing with a certain amount of teams. And it seemed like maybe even one team, if we're being honest, kind of like Luka and the Mavs and the Lakers. They didn't give other teams an option to put their packages on the table. So we'll see. I think the Mets would have been able to do better, though. Definitely.
I agree. But that's all we got for you guys tonight. A good win. It's funny how when the crowd's a little less when we win. Everybody's not as fired up, but I will take the win tomorrow. Got it. Do you have the breakdown who's playing pitching tomorrow, Dan?
Yeah, so tomorrow for the Mets, we have David Peterson against Jesus Luzardo, 2 lefties.
David Peterson, I am fully confident in this guy, that ground ball rate.
Go.
I do not want to see Jared
Go,
Young
guys.
in this lineup, which he will not be. It's going to be Marte. Let's be real, but I would leave the lineup the same, switch Marte in there. I don't want to see them taking Nimmo out of the 2-hole and trying to get fancy with Brandon Nimmo, moving him out of the 2-hole, but let's take this series, Dan, end on a positive note. That's right. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for sticking around. If you're enjoying this content, make sure you like and subscribe to help support the channel as we continue to grow. And thanks to you guys so much. But
thank you.
That's all we got. Let's
go Mets, baby. Let's go.